Hello, I'm ABX Toycat, and I've always loved Cherry Grove biomes, but wait, one sec, apparently we've got a raid to take down. Woo, fireworks! And that is because I killed a pillager patrol last week and totally forgot about it. Just a reminder, don't go too close to villagers, even ones that you don't assume are active anymore. Anyway, I love silly projects. I don't know if that's maybe clear from the Torch Desert or the Furnace House, but there's one thing I love even more than that, and it's the Cherry Grove biome. However, if I want a Cherry Grove biome in my world, and I don't want to enable experimental gameplay, pro tip, this is never a good idea for long-term worlds, then I've got basically two options. I can freeze myself in time, or I could maybe make my own Cherry Grove biome instead, and I'm very good at building, so this is going to turn out absolutely wonderful. Trust me, that is not sarcasm. But first things first, let's organize our inventory. It's an absolute mess, and that is something I can do something about. And now we'll get out the essential ingredients. I'm going to need a fair amount of gravel, and unlike using it for gravel last week, today I've got some actually decent uses in mind. We'll get some sand as well, plenty of sand. And then I'm also going to need the closest thing we have to cherry wood right now. I looked at all of the woods, and I think the nether woods are kind of close, but if we don't want to mess with the look too much, I think mangrove might be our best bets. We'll take a full stack of mangrove, minus one block, that's just a full stack of mangrove, and maybe actually a little bit more, just so we can have a few spare pieces, and then these blocks alone will allow us to make a Cherry Grove biome. Oh, and by the way, something a lot of people took issue with was me saying that pink dye gets so much easier after you can find a Cherry Grove, because you can naturally just find it everywhere, because people said all you gotta do is bone meal one of these things, get yourself some ponies in your world, and you can turn those ponies straight into pink dye. It's as easy as put them in the crafting table and pink dye comes out. And this is true, pink dye is relatively easy to get right now if you have large amounts of bone meal and also some time, but it's so much easier to scavenge something from the wild. In the same way, I could grow my own birch tree very easily, but wouldn't it be much easier for me to just chop down this one? Yes, the answer is it totally would be. In fact, actually, just for fun, let's prove that. Let's replace the little birch wood we've chopped down with a mangrove log, and then the next time anyone comes past this world, they'll be extra confused. I say extra confused because, this is already, I think it was, anyone who tipped got to choose a block in this biome, and I figured people would make a beautiful garden together or something, but instead this is what we have, and can't even be mad about it. Just like how I can't be mad about the fact that these ponies are a source of pink dye, but we can also make pink dye by going to a biome, or we can make pink dye by combining red and white together anyway, so let's just do that in large quantities, because pink dye is going to be very necessary for making ugly shulker boxes, but also for making ugly concrete. That's right, pink concrete powder is going to be my main source of making these pink trees, because you could use pink wool, and I think that has a bit more of a fuzzy texture. This is the OG type of cherry blossom tree. However, I've never made one with pink concrete powder, especially with mangrove logs, so let's see how that turns out. Will it be good? Will it be bad? Probably the second one, but let's find out. So let's place all of our pink concrete powder in water now. Honestly, this is one way of doing it, but I always prefer just, if you've got a water bucket anyway, which we totally do, just stack up real high, and then, actually, yeah, that'll be real fun. Let's look at the world, but from way up high. Just stack up real high and hope you don't get any lag issues. Oh god, okay. No lag issues, trust me. Don't ask how this is happening, but it's fine. The game really wants to kill me sometimes. But we're fine now. The view up here is amazing, by the way, or it would be if we weren't on a realm and had a render distance of 10 chunks. I can just about see that mountain over there. Isn't that nice? But anyway, once you've stacked all your stuff in a big pile, you place the water down. Just a single bit of it will then follow and turn all of the concrete or concrete powder into concrete, which is really fun, because then you can immediately get it this way. Honestly, I like the idea of concrete powder turning into concrete like this, but whenever you want concrete as a block, it's such a pain to remember, oh, I've got to do this. But that pain can be lessened by making a big pink tower in the middle of nowhere. There we go. all of the pink concrete collected, and it only took me most of the day, apparently, according to the nighttime fact. So, oh wait, there we go. So now, the only thing left to do is go and make my Cherry Grove biome. Although maybe we could take a nap along the way too. By the way, it's very normal to live in an attic, it's not sad. And we're gonna start this by doing a test tree. Just so I can confirm that the mangrove log and pink concrete palette works, we're gonna take just a generic birch tree. I grew all of these myself to make a birch forest biome when those were new. Wow, it's crazy, that was probably like 10 years ago now, but I made myself a new birch forest biome, and so just to make sure that this tree fits, I'm going to randomly blend one of these trees in with the rest of them. It has to be kind of not touching the rest for this to be easy, so this one right here. Actually, no, that's kind of touching over there. We'll take this tree over here. Yeah, there's at least a very clear border between that tree and this one, and we're going to remove the old tree and replace it with a new one. And yes, I will be using the iron axe I got from the pillager raid earlier, just out of sole spite for the pillagers. I hate fighting pillager raids when I'm busy doing something else, and so I like to make sure that the pillagers are suffering too. They like to destroy the Minecraft world, and I'm going to rebuild it using their very same axe. It also has efficiency on, and you know, I think an iron axe of efficiency 1 is probably better than a netherite axe of efficiency 4. Just like how I think these pink concrete blocks are much prettier than the birch leaves they'll be replacing, and so one by one we'll just replace all the blocks in this tree with the pink concrete instead. So block goes there, destroy both of these blocks, blocks go there, and one by one we can slowly replace the tree until we see what we're left with instead. I have some real questions about this one, just like how I have some real questions about, you know, because this is the Let's Play. If you don't know, it's a weekly update as to what's been going on in my Let's Play world. It is a world I've been playing since 2012 now, which is really, it gets weirder and weirder to say every year because so many people abandon their Minecraft worlds every day, but I've been playing this same one for a real long time. I still really like it, to be totally honest with you, and I also really like something which I do a little bit too often these days, which is, you know, going on the internet and seeing what people have to say about all sorts of fun issues. I think one of the downsides, so I'm a big like Twitter user. For the last 10 years, I've been like, yeah, the other side of YouTube has been on Twitter. If you want to see what your YouTubers are up to outside of YouTube, Twitter has always been a great place for that. And even when people said like, oh no, the site is so ruined because of who owns it now, I've never been a big believer in the fact that if someone bad owns something, the thing itself must be bad. Because ultimately, one, it's a privately, you know, like the CEO might be bad, but it's owned by all sorts of people. You might own stock in Twitter and not even know if you have a pension, for example. You know, like companies aren't really ever owned by one person. They're just kind of figureheaded by a person. But the second reason, ooh, I like this, by the way, right? It looks really weird. I think some of the leaves must have degraded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliberately kind of trim this a little bit and make it look a bit better. But yeah, so Twitter has changed a bit over the years. But one of the things that hasn't changed is it being the place to go if you want to see weird hot takes from people who really genuinely believe that they're right. I mean, I guess I genuinely believe I'm right in all sorts of ways that I'm probably wrong. But one of the weirdest ones that I've seen... Okay, I'll see. I just think we need a few more blocks around this thing. Now, there should be a definite separation there. And then, yeah, that's probably about right. Let's look at our tree now. I think it looks like I think the palette works well together. It looks like a pink birch tree. And if you look at it amongst the rest, it's a fun little Easter egg that makes you realize just how similar the rest really are. So that's good. Now let's try and build a regular tree. So the Cherry Grove biome only spawns in meadows, which are relatively flat areas, but they're still, you know, mountainous in terms of their elevation. And so I've got two places I could go for. This to me looks the most meadowy in my world. I feel like I could just cover that in flowers and it would 100% look like a meadow. Also, that might be a good idea, right? Just bone meal that entire thing just to see what it looks like when it's done. That might be a fun idea. But then I've got this place over here, which is also, it's not particularly flat. That might be something I have to work on, but it does have trees in it right now. And it'd be fun to kind of refresh those trees by placing entirely new ones. And so where we have trees right now, I think it genuinely is. We've got two very sad looking trees. Why don't we fill in some of the gaps with something much more vibrant? Because, yeah, I've been trying to remove the snow from this place for a while. I'm a big believer in global warming. There's one of my fun hot takes, by the way. Just like how a lot of people like to have fun hot takes about 1.20, be like, oh yeah, well actually, it's not even going to be a good update. It's taken too long and something, you know, like I feel like there's all sorts of like good arguments in the world. And, you know, the thing that makes us listen to someone is when they say something we either really agree with or we really disagree with. Something about just a combination of those two factors leads to a really weird situation, doesn't it? Like, just you want to hear someone out because they're so crazy. That's why flat Earth is so compelling to people. Like, how can they actually believe the Earth is flat? Don't they know about this or that? And the answer is they're not using super scientific data. They're just using their vibes and their feels. I feel like this should be a longer tree, so we'll have it go this way, an extra block maybe, and then we'll make that better underneath it. But yeah, in the same way, one of the things I see a lot is people being like, oh yeah, well, isn't it disgusting how we, kind of fear unhoused people? And I find the phrase like unhoused to be interesting. Like I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, homeless is a real stigmatized term. I've even heard, I don't know, like, is hobo offensive? I don't actually know what all these terms means. It's one of those fun things where like people are always inventing new terminology that is offensive, so that you can work out, basically, who is using the good terminology versus the bad. Yeah, this tree is a little bit unbalanced, I would say. We probably have to have another wood there, and then also another thing coming. That's probably about right for a cherry grove. I think we should probably go bigger and harder for our second one. Just like how I feel like people are always going bigger and harder and creating these new terminologies. And I think for a while, it took me a while to work out what it was. Because if you live in a world where you think the way we come up with words is we say, let's have the same branch coming off here, but then let's have the main branch go up like way higher on this one, and then go up to the right, and then up, and then over there, and then up some more. And then we can have the base of the tree be up here, but just kind of bring it back over there, maybe. Will that work? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. But yeah, like having new terminology be invented is something that seems silly when the old terminology works, but we do it all the time. Like the word idiot used to be a word that would define people who were mentally handicapped, and then that became offensive. Because people use that so willy-nilly, and it's like, well, we can't. Imagine if you were legally an idiot, right? That would be hurtful, because idiot is something you think is bad. Whereas just saying like handicapped, it's like, oh yeah, it just means different advantages in life. Saying when enough people go, oh my god, there's this homeless man attacking me with yelling at me in the street, etc. Then that becomes like a bad thing, and people don't want to say they're homeless, so you create new labels for it. And in general, I feel like this is like not the worst thing in the world, that we create better labels to fit how things are now. But I think one of the things I've noticed is some people are always down to this all the time, just to make sure that there's something new. Like, just so you can guarantee, like, oh, if people use this word, they're good, they're a part of the in-group. If they don't use this word, they're bad. And an example in Minecraft I think about is this. I'm playing the Bedrock edition right now. You can tell because of all the weird stuff happening with the blocks. I think this is particularly a realms issue, but it's always like, do you see that? Like, sometimes it makes double noises, etc. Playing console Minecraft, especially, is like a fine experience. And if you play console Bedrock, it's a maybe fine experience. It depends on the console you're running, the settings you're going for, the world that you're on. And so a lot of people refer to Minecraft Bedrock as something like Minecraft Bedrock. And if you are to say Minecraft Bedrock, even though you're just using a funny definition, I assume you don't like the game, right? That's a reasonable thing to assume. Whereas if you say Minecraft Bedrock Edition, I assume you do like the game. Or, maybe a better example, if you call it Bug Rock, I assume you've had some issue where you've died from something terrible, and so maybe you don't like, you're at least predisposed not to like Minecraft. Whereas if you say, Big Salmon Edition, I know that at the very least, you're a fan of Bedrock, you're part of the community, you believe it to be a version worth saving, maybe. In the same way, if you're just a YouTuber fanboy, that's a bad thing. If you're a Housefire not haver, that's a good thing, I would say. And so, the different terms we use for things really does, to some extent, reflect your feelings on it. If you, I know this is why the, labels are such an effective thing. This is why nicknames are so effective, or rather, like, I guess name calling. Like, making fun of someone by a name means that just by referring to someone, you can show your allegiance on that thing. Just by saying, oh yeah, they are this thing, you are telling people your feelings on that immediately. Maybe me saying homeless person here shows you that I've had some terrifying experiences where a guy was talking about the Zionist plot to take them all down while yelling at a random woman on the subway, and that, like, actually that's quite scary that these people, or maybe, by me saying unhoused, I can show you how compassionate I am. Yeah, just because the man threatened me on the subway doesn't mean I think less of his entire Doesn't mean I think less of people who threaten people on the subway. They just have mental health issues, which is entirely correct, right? There's always two sides to basically anything. And so, yeah, if you're a house fire, not haver, I'm very happy to have you around. But if you are just like, oh yeah, you watch Minecraft and this happens to be one of those videos, I think that's cool too. But, just also prefer the house fire not havers. Also, we use a lot of pink concrete to do this. I think I way underestimated it because we've got 2.5 trees. Oh, 3.5 trees. Honestly, that third one looks kind of cool, right? It looks like a savanna tree, but I think I might keep that. So now we're going to try using just concrete powder because I brought some spare sand and pink dye, just assuming this might happen. So let's use concrete powder now, and let's try the much trickier thing of keeping concrete powder afloat. By the way, oxidization update, the copper that I placed months ago is slowly starting to get mostly oxidized, so I don't know if that's good or not. I just kind of like sleeping in a copper room. It's a fun reminder of time's progression, just like how string is a fun reminder of time's progression, because if we want to keep things from dropping, we can use this. And so we're going to make a concrete powder tree now, just to see how that goes. Because I think concrete powder is actually slightly closer to the cherry blossom that we're going for. These trees all look like they're made from plastic, right? For better or for worse. So let's have a tree right in the middle of all of them that is actually the real deal. And we're going to use a lot of string for this. It's going to go terribly, but welcome to my world. Do things ever not go terribly? But yeah, no, I think there's a really interesting power though in, like, we all have this like instinct of like, yes, if someone says a certain word, that means they like the thing, and if they say a different certain word, that means they probably don't like the thing. But I think, okay, so we're going to have to place a lot of string. It's wacky that you can place string in midair, but then on top of that, we place concrete powder. So we'll place just concrete along all of the top here, besides that block there, which will string up, by the way. And then we'll see how this ties together. This is going to be a nightmare, actually. But yeah, I think that's why there's a power in like taking a nickname about you. By the way, that nickname thing, if you're the sort of person who's like very into politics, it's your favorite thing, you'll see in a particular political season for that one country everyone follows for politics for some reason, you'll see that like name calling, very big part of the political process this year because of the same thing. It allows you and all your supporters to immediately show that they don't like someone, and you don't even need to think of a reason why. Like if you ask me, what's something I irrationally hate? This is like always a hard thing to admit because everyone thinks they're rational about things. I irrationally hate, I don't know, people who blow their nose, right? A lot of people get irrationally mad at people who sniff. That's the most ridiculous thing to me. But I can't stand the noise it makes when someone blows their nose. It is gross to me that you then have a tissue that you, like, so much about that whole process is awful. Like, just sniff it. Put it all inside you idiots. Sorry, you mentally, wait, is it more offensive? Anyway, my point here is that also, here's a fun fact. If I put a string down there, instead of the concrete powder dropping through onto that string, it just drops onto the ground. I don't know what the logic is necessarily, but it doesn't really seem to be some. I think that needs to go lower, so that's why I'm doing that, by the way. Yeah, I can't stand it. But I also, like, if I really am to look at it, like, why do I not like it? Because of the noise? I don't like people who are, being, is it even hygienic, actually? I don't like people who are being probably hygienic, maybe hygienic. See, I'm doing a bad job because it's a belief I hold. Whereas if we just say like, oh yeah, there are nose blowing nonces. Like, well, you blow your nose, you're a bit of a nonce, I think. Like if we said that instead, it's like, well, like everyone agrees that the one of those things is bad, and so if you're that, then you must be awful. And so if we associate that thing with that thing, it's terrible. So many behaviors kind of end up this way. This is why there ends up being stigmas against things, right? It's because we associate everyone who has maybe like some deadly illness with a certain way of life. We associate everyone who has, like whatever it may be, bad teeth with being from a particular island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Definitely not the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Probably touching the Atlantic Ocean. Not even that, touching the Irish Sea. But anyway, it's like, stereotypes form from these sorts of behaviors, and it's kind of a bad thing in my opinion. And so yeah, I think creating new terms is like, it makes sense why people want to do it, but it also makes it so complicated to just talk to someone sometimes, right? You ever have this situation where someone's like, no, that's not the word, that's an offensive definition. Are you excluding people who happen to be that word but aren't? You know, that definition of things. And I think, yeah, sometimes like wanting to be, you know, tolerant, wanting to be nice can lead to you not even having a point anymore. So I'm going to make a second one of these trees because I've got just about enough concrete powder that I could do this, right? I could make a very tiny tree, at least bigger than that one. And so we're going to do that right here. It's going to be nice. We probably also have to cover the ground in something, but yeah, one issue at a time, I think. Yeah, this is, there's a... So should we just make a regular tree? No, we're going to make this work. We're going to make this work. It's going to go over here a little bit, and then it's going to go over there a little bit. And this is going to be our tree. We'll surround it with string, and then we'll see where that takes us. But, yeah, so I think, like, right now, you know, there's a lot of people who are very, very, very passionate about something they believe in. And, you know, like, for, something I realized, this is one of those experiences that, like, it's going to sound like it's fake, but I was just at the store recently. Also, I did not mean to place that there. We could leave it there, though, right? Yeah, we can. I was at the store recently, and I was in the shampoo aisle. I never bring a basket into stores with me because I want to limit how much stuff I have. I can't do the American style of shopping, even if I'm in America. I can't do the American style of shopping where you buy groceries to last you for a month. Like I buy stuff that I need like 2 days before I need it most. You know, I don't want to be like mega prepared for everything. If it's like something laundry based, you buy it in bulk. If it's food, I don't know what I want to eat 3 weeks from now, as much as you don't know what you want to eat in 2027, right? That's exactly how I feel about it. Maybe you can call that immature. Maybe I'd call you immature. How about that, huh? Yeah, it's immature not subscribed to IBX Toycat Viewer right here. Oh, are you subscribed? Oh, I guess you must be cool. You're a not Housefire Haver, but if you're not subscribed, then you're a freeloading Freddy. Just gonna keep coming up with names at this point. So we're gonna now place a torch on the tree. This is my lazy alternative to being able to get some concrete powder up there. We'll place a second, you know, we'll just place torches all over the tree. And there we go. Now we can have a little bit more concrete powder. And then we can place on top of those concrete powders, probably some more. And then we can call this a beautiful thing like it is. Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah, we need a third torch here. And then we need to just place a block up over there. And look at that, chat. I'm saying chat like this is a live stream. Look at that, internet, that is not live and concurrent with me right now. I have officially made myself a tree. Honestly, I really like the look of this miniature biome. I think I do need to cover it with like pink flowers underneath it for this to have any real effect. Maybe make it a bit... I place some beehives around here. Honestly, just if I bone mill and make some grass everywhere, I think even that would do me some real favors. So let's do that right now. Let's just bone mill this place. Make it very, very, very over-the-top grassy. We'll get rid of a bunch of snowballs just to make it a little bit less snow-looking, and then we'll place some bone meal in its place. Just make this as leafy as we humanly can, and we'll see how that kind of looks for us. We only have so much bone meal, so we'll make sure we spread it evenly around the place. But yeah, I think that in the same way that like I hate pillagers, I never have a great time with raids. I don't like raid. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird things. Like that, and just like how I like making silly builds, I think sometimes it's important, you know, I say that, I make silly builds, I make insane projects, I make things that no one probably should, and I think sometimes it's important to like reclaim, if you're really worried about like some negative consequence of something, whether that's being called a name in your personal life or being called something ridiculous and offensive to do with your anything, your immutable characteristics, I think at some point it always makes sense to say to yourself, also, yeah, much better, right? Much better. I think at some point it always makes sense to say, also, yeah, pink concrete powder looks a bit more convincing. Like, that second tree is terrible, so ignore that. But compare this tree to that tree. This is a more cherry blossom looking tree. That tree just looks better because it looks like I was going for plasticky. So maybe that's what you gotta do. Sometimes you just gotta admit that even if you're making something terrible, you are going for terrible. When you reclaim a bad nickname, when you say, actually, yeah, I'm proud to be the orphan, because, yeah, I've got 0 parents, but I'm still better off than you are. When you say stuff like that, you actually do make people realize that, wow, actually, it can't harm him anymore. And that's I don't know, that's why it's important to not be afraid of words, because when you're afraid of words, some stuff can go terribly for you. Speaking of stuff going terribly, so I have this shulker box over here that I slowly grind up into all the bits that I need. And so we've got a bunch of iron and gold stuff in there. I'm actually just going to smelt, the thing that can make the pillagers feel the most pain is when you disenchant their stuff to get some free experience, which I love to do. And then we throw it right into our little grinder, which will immediately turn it into, what's that, some dust? Yes, it will, and then the dust can go in here. Ooh, have I almost got a full gold nugget from smelting up piglin gear? Yeah, I do. Am I gonna get almost a full ingot from smelting up pillager axes? Yeah, don't I get to feel powerful. But yeah, no, I do think that it is really cool. Those of you who are Housefire not havers, thank you very much for being around the channel. This is kind of a more old style Let's Play. I love to do silly things occasionally. But I also think the kind of newer style where we're mixing in like tutorial stuff with, like faster cuts here and there is what people genuinely do like. And this episode is going to be the test for that. So this is my knockoff, ooh, look at the lag. This is my knockoff Cherry Grove biome. It's making an old silly project in the space of about an hour or so, like we used to do, talking about something deeper, the meaning behind labels and why you shouldn't let labels define you. Although we let labels define labels, the word label is a perfect label for the word label. So maybe labels aren't so terrible if we have a label for labels. But I think there is. I hope this was a valuable discussion to you. I hope that you enjoyed listening to it. And if you didn't, then good news. I think next week I'm going to work on banner patterns, because honestly, with the new shield update, wait, actually, okay, I was going to have a nice, pretty outro by the sun. I was going to tell you about how you shouldn't let, I don't know, like, don't let things define you, only you get to define you, Mr. Man with an orange head watching the sunset. But anyway, the thing I want to do so bad is because I've got enchanted shields, right? I've got a bunch of shields, I just crafted a lot. In fact, I could craft some more once I smelt down all the good stuff, I think. But, yeah, I think that, I think with an enchanted shield, putting a banner on that will be really fun. And so I'm going to make a bunch of banners next week, specifically so that I can make a bunch of fun shields. And, yeah, I think it might be a good part of the museum, actually. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know how many house fires you've had in the past year. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.